Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the dive we did at Mine La Motte in Missouri. This was Charlie and I's second time here. The first time we came with another class that was doing their full cave certification, and we ended up diving through that right entrance to the right of the screen over there. It makes a left turn around that corner, just to stay out of the way of the students. It's a really cool area. That blue structure there is just a little cabin kind of thing. It's not very big. It's just to keep divers out of the elements when it's really bad out. It's not very big, but you could easily sit 4 people in there with folding chairs. There's also a map of the cave system in there. It's a line graph or a line map. I have found it to be not that helpful, but it's there for reference either way. Those are the two entrances that I mentioned. One is to the left, labeled number 1, and then the second entrance is to the right. That's this part of the video here. This video was actually taken the first time we came here. It was pretty cool, and I got some video of it because this side isn't completely submerged, as you can see. I believe this is the access road that was used to haul the ore or everything that was excavated out of this mine out of there, because entrance 1 doesn't appear to have any a rhyme or reason to it. It's just a hole that you go in that doesn't seem like a car or any kind of vehicle or machinery could have ever gone through there. I don't know what that one was used for. Maybe it was used as an access entrance at some point, but now it's just surrounded by rocks. You'll see in the upcoming part of the video how we have to basically swim over some pretty large boulders to get into the entrance of that first entrance there. So as I said, this section here went back several hundred feet, and it was strange swimming back there because we swam along the surface, and the further back we got, the lower and lower the ceiling came down on us. And it was like being in a Willy Wonka movie where the room just kept getting smaller and smaller. So that was kind of a cool experience. The difference that I found after having been here both times and gone in both entrances is that the water generally is clearer through entrance 2. Though this time around I think we got pretty lucky in entrance 1. I've been told in the past that it's pretty murky for the first few hundred feet, 200 to 300 feet, and people will go in there having to basically okay the line where you're holding on to the line as you're swimming through, because they have like 1 to 2 feet of visibility, 1 to 2 feet in front of them. That's about as far as they can see. We did not have that. We did not experience that. From just the clarity of the pool swimming up to the entrance here, you can tell that it's pretty clear, and from where we were getting ready. And I think that's pretty unusual. I don't know what was different here today, but it was, I think we got lucky. We got very lucky. Here we're at the entrance trying to find how to get into the cave system, or the mine, I should say. I keep calling it a cave. It's actually a mine, Mine La Motte. But we had never been here. We had never gone through this entrance, that is. And so we were kind of just looking around to see where a good tie-off point was, where we were going to make our secondary tie-off and then head in towards the entrance. For those of you who are certified to dive in overhead environments in caves, the entrance, once you go into entrance 1, is to the right. As soon as you get over the hump, it's to the right. As I said, this was a mine, not a cave, so there are quite a bit of things that were left behind. And some of it is pretty typical for a mine operation that was closed down. There'll be a lot of tubing and wiring and pulleys and some odds and ends tubing, piping, I should say, not tubing. There's a difference. And just old tools, old metal shovels, and you'll see some picks and some chisels and things of that nature. Like I said, typically this is really, really bad visibility. We got pretty lucky, and this camera unfortunately does not do this area justice, but I think you get the picture nonetheless. As far as the mine goes, a little bit of background on the mine. This area was actually the whole area near Fredericktown was a big mining area, industry, I guess you could call it. It's called Mine La Motte. It was named after some French or Spanish explorer with the last name Lamotte. Like I said, it's located just north of Fredericktown, Missouri, about 5 miles north. Located in the Fredericktown Mining District. A little Googling, I found out that it was possibly the oldest mine in Missouri, having been mined for lead as early as 1714. I did find that there is some historical evidence that lead had been discovered in the area as early as 1514 by Spanish explorers, which is pretty cool. I think this is the first intersection that we found, line T. It is a hot mess in there as far as the main line goes. It jumps or splits off a lot, like a lot. I took 8 cookies with me. Those of you that don't know what cookies are, they're line markers. You put them on the line that you entered with, and you use that to follow the same line out when you come back to an intersection like that last one. There are quite a few of them. I took, like I said, 8 of them, and we ended up going to the end of that line, but just barely with 8 cookies. So imagine crossing over 8 line intersections where there's lines like 3, 4, 5 lines going in different directions. It's fairly complicated as far as navigation goes. Pretty easy to get turned around. Definitely not a place to go without line markers. There are some places where it wouldn't be so concerning, because there might be 2 lines coming off of the main line, and there's line arrows that are showing you the exit. But here there are some that were pointing an exit in different directions, and if you didn't have a line marker on there, you'd come back to that section on the way out and not have any clue which line is your exit. And that's important. Again, if you're not a cave diver here and you like the entertainment of these videos, I'll explain the reason that's important is because you never trust an exit. You learn this through training. You never trust an exit that you didn't confirm yourself. In other words, if I don't know for a fact from personal experience that day that that's an exit. In other words, I've already been through there this day. I can't confirm that it's a good exit, so I'm not going to trust it. And the reason I say that day is because if you come here a year later, like we did, you don't know what that exit looks like anymore. So you don't trust it. You follow your line markers and you follow your confirmed way out. I'll pause here for a second and talk about this thing. I have no idea what this is. I suspect that it's a pump. Huge pump, and that thing there was where the power lines were connected to it, because these look like really big metal tubes. And I'm going to take my best guess and say that this was used to remove the water from the mine, or at least this section when it was still being mined. Those of you who aren't familiar with mining, they all eventually hit water, just like digging down for a well. The deeper you go, depending on where the water table is or where water is, you're eventually going to hit water, and they all have to be pumped out. The water has to be pumped out so they can continue the mining operation. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to work. When they shut the pumps down, depending on how fast the flow is, there's one of our markers, by the way. That's our exit to the left. We are actually going to continue to the right and go further into the mine. But anyway, once they turn the pumps off, it depending on the size of the mine, depending on the flow of the water, that they hit while digging, it could take months to oftentimes years. If you've seen any of my other videos, I have quite a few videos from Paquette Mine in Wisconsin, and when that one closed down its operations, I believe it took like 2 years for that mine to fill up with water. So it's pretty crazy. They actually built a gate in front of it at the entrance, because for a long time cars could still drive in there, and they were trying to prevent people from going in and getting stuck. But anyway, back to Mine La Motte. Lots and lots of intersections. Definitely, you got to be on your game as far as navigation goes. And, unless you've been through that entrance, you need to be very diligent about marking your way out. So here, Charlie's in front of me, so we're starting to work our way out now. We penetrated 30 minutes. Coincidentally, we hit the end of the line at 30 minutes, and that was what we had planned on penetrating anyway. Because there's not a very good, reliable map, I have no idea where we were in relation to the entrance. We could have been, in 30 minutes, we can travel like 2,000 feet, or we could have been 500 feet from the entrance. I really couldn't tell you because we had no reference. So back to the mine. Like I said, lead was discovered here potentially in about 1514 by Spanish explorers. Around the 1700s, early 1700s, a land grant was issued titling the area the domain. The total area consisted of about 24,000 acres. On those 24,000 acres, there were roughly 14 to 18 lead mines, Mine La Motte being one of them. The mine, the property was bought and sold several times throughout the years, throughout the centuries, that is. Eventually closing its mining operations in 1959 due to economic factors. As I said, they had to pump the water out in order to work down there. And then once the operations were shut down, the pumps were turned off, and the mine was backfilled with water. So, max depth, to kind of get into a little bit of details about the conditions here. The max depth that we encountered going through entrance 1 all the way back to the end of the line that we followed was 62 feet. My dive computer said the average depth was right around 38 feet. And again, our total dive time was about 57 minutes, 30 minutes of penetration, and about 27 minutes to exit. A lot of times, speaking of total time and penetration time and exit time, a lot of times in cave systems with flow, a 30-minute penetration will be like roughly, depending on how hard or how fast the flow is, it could be like a 15 to 20-minute exit, because the flow is just pushing you out of the cave or out of the mine so quickly, and you're not swimming against it. In this system, very little flow. That's why our turnaround time was 30 minutes, and it took us just about 30 minutes to exit. There's another one of our markers. You can see that here there's only 2 other ways to go. We obviously came from the right, so I'm going to pick up my marker and we continue down the line. So there's very little flow. It's fairly shallow. The water temp was 46 degrees. That's actually lower than we're used to in these Missouri caves / mines. Generally, it's right around 50 degrees. And that typically doesn't change, which is kind of odd that it was 46 degrees here. We were at Boiling Spring the day before, and I have a video on that as well if you want to check it out. I think in the video I mistakenly said it was like in the high 40s. Our dive computers actually said 54 degrees. Here's another cookie that I have to pick up on the way out. Again, a bunch of lines going in all kinds of directions, not just left and right either. You could see that one middle line kind of went up to an angle. We were on rebreathers, so we were trying to stay generally at the same depth or go a little bit deeper, just because when you start ascending, you have to start venting gas from the loop and the BC and the dry suit, and then if you go back down again, you got to start adding gas again, and it's just kind of a vicious cycle. So we try to either go further down or stay generally in the same depth, ideally anyway. But back to the temperature. So yeah, I don't know why it was so cold there that day. I don't remember it being that cold the last time we were there. I can try to look up very quickly the dive itself on my phone from the Shearwater. But it was cold. The whole weekend we were doing really well as far as thermal protection goes, and then we did this dive, and we both came out after an hour wondering why we were so cold, and it was pretty evident when we checked our dive computers. So I'm looking up what the temperature was last time, and I cannot find it. Apparently I didn't name the dive, so I can't locate it readily on my phone. I don't remember it being that cold. I know we did an open circuit dive the last time we went there, and generally you tend to get colder when you're diving open circuit because the air tends to drop down to the temperature of the water that you're diving. The tanks get cold, which in turn gets the gas inside the tanks cold. So you tend to get colder. On a rebreather, you're breathing in and out the same gas that you've been breathing through for pretty much the entirety of the dive. So it's warm, It's also warmed up by the sorb in the canisters, which absorbs the carbon dioxide that you breathe out. So it's way more comfortable, and you stay warmer much longer. Um, on this dive, I think maybe just because it was the second day of the weekend that we were diving, and then the lower temperature there, it you definitely felt it after an hour of being in the mine. Again, like I said, we were at Boiling Spring, and it was 54 degrees, not the high 40s, like I said in my other video. So that's a pretty big swing, from 54 to 46 degrees. We definitely could tell. Again, on the exit, especially Charlie. I don't think he was wearing his dry gloves, so his hands were exposed through some pretty beat up wet gloves or neoprene gloves. So he definitely felt it by the end. So here we're getting near the exit. I think we've already picked up all of our cookies. Now we're about 2, maybe 300 feet from the entrance. They start to split off about 200 to 300 feet in. So here we're just going to make our way out, collect our reel, and then work our way back across that pool to where that blue structure was, to start loading up to head home, because this was our last dive for the weekend, as I said. It was a really good time there. Definitely a must for any certified cave divers. Definitely a place you need to practice good finning techniques, good caving techniques. It is pretty rocky, but it is also very silty. So if you do plan on going there, just be mindful of that. This isn't a very forgiving system, like others are. But definitely worth the trip out there. I would definitely do it again. We plan on going back out there sometime soon, because, who would not want to go back to this? Look at this place. Again, we got super lucky. You could tell right there how clear that water is. Pretty amazing. This is our drive out. If you drive a Honda Accord, I would not recommend going back there. It is it's pretty off-roady. We had quite a bit of ice there, and it was kind of a ride getting out and breaking through the ice on several occasions, but cool nonetheless. I think I forgot to mention this is on private property, so in order to dive here, you have to contact the landowner and get permission to be there. Otherwise, if you just showed up, he would know. I think he lives on the property or just off to the side or something. But I've seen a truck pass through there occasionally. So make sure you get permission to be there, and enjoy the diving there. It's definitely worth going out there, as I said. Here we're just making our way out and starting to head home at this point. Hope you enjoyed the video. Missouri has quite a few handful of caves and mines to dive. Aside from the cool mines, you get to see some pretty cool sights. There's some pretty nice historical areas. I took a picture of the side of this mountain, or whatever you want to call it, because I have no idea what that is. It looks like a big cave up there, but we didn't stop to check it out. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed the video. Questions, comments, if you want to go out there, please reach out to me. Let me know. I can get you in contact with the right people. or lead you in the right direction. Because the whole point of these videos is for others to enjoy the diving as much as I do. So any questions, like I said, please let me know in the comments and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching.